Well, Bennett Kessler filed this report. While Eastern Sierra residents consider the news last week that Mammoth Mountain has agreed to buy Bear Mountain and Snow Summit, some wondered what it would all mean to the local communities in the Eastern Sierra. Sierra Wave Media posed that question to Mammoth Mountain CEO Rusty Gregory, and he said, quote, Mammoth will have a deeper and broader position in the Southern California market, and Big Bear Mountain resorts typically do well in drought years, which provides a hedge to Mammoth's weather risk, end quote. Rusty Gregory also said these factors increase Mammoth Mountain ski area's financial strength, and this stability, he said, adds to employment and economic security in our area. Now, in the initial press release on the acquisition, Rusty Gregory was also quoted as saying that there will be announcements in coming months about new development and expansion plans for each of the 4 resorts. Now, a new season pass called California Pass went on sale at Bear Mountain over the weekend. It includes unrestricted access to all 4 mountains. Mammoth Tourism Director John Erdy said he believes the new acquisition and season pass will bring new visitors to Mammoth Lakes. Erdy said, quote, having sister resorts in Southern California will give Mammoth Mountain ski area an amazing opportunity to entice those skiers and riders to become Mammoth loyalists, end quote. Now, Erdy also said Bear Mountain and Snow Summit will be the local resort, while Mammoth Mountain becomes their go-to destination resort. Erdy said offers and special products like the California Pass will, quote, bring new visitors to town, staying in properties, shopping and dining in our restaurants. This is a great new opportunity, not only for Mammoth Mountain, but for our community, end quote. Now, the Los Angeles Times pointed to a ski area consolidation trend going on now, with the need to make profits at what appears to be a time of unreliable snowfall. As Rusty Gregory said, weather risk. Bob Roberts, executive director of the California Ski Industry Association, referred to a climate change market, end quote. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this report. Although it was a closed issue last spring, now published reports talk about what the city of Bishop might have saved contracting law enforcement with the Inyo County Sheriff's Department. A final amount of savings, the sheriff said, was never determined because the study was never completed. At the beginning of the year, the Bishop City Council did ask the sheriff to start figuring out how much Bishop might save by giving up the police department, but according to the Bishop Police Chief and the Inyo Sheriff, the preliminary study never reached a conclusion or a final amount of savings. In February, Bishop City officials had said that when the sheriff arrived at preliminary figures of savings, the city would then decide whether or not to spend money on an outside assessment team to nail down the specifics of a draft contract. That never happened. In March, the city council decided not to pursue a contract with the sheriff and instead to negotiate with officers for savings. Then Bishop City Administrator Keith Caldwell had said that the sheriff and his team performed an initial study but did not go far enough at the council's direction to determine actual details of service and savings. Bishop Police Chief Chris Carter verified that no final figures were ever released to the Bishop City Council from the Inyo Sheriff. The bandied about figure of a $700,000 savings has not been attributed to anyone in those published reports. The chief said that figure was never presented. Chief Carter said when it was pinned down that the city wanted the same level of service and personnel as the police department, the council tabled the issue. Inyo Sheriff Bill Lutz repeated that there had been no determination of an actual savings amount. He said the study was in, quote, preliminary stages, end quote. Sheriff Lutz said of the possible savings, there was no final amount. Now, some say Bishop City Council candidates are privately raising this issue, and a law enforcement contract is reportedly on the list of questions for a future candidates forum. And Bennett Kessler also filed this report. The Bishop City Council has approved a resolution that declares the city's intent to set up the Bishop Tourism Improvement District. A public meeting and hearing will follow. Only lodging businesses would be assessed, and the money would be used to pay for marketing and sales promotion efforts for the assessed businesses. The Bishop Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau devoted time and effort to this plan. Now, according to the Bishop City Council agenda, a petition was received received, reviewed by the city clerk, and found to have the necessary signatures for the city to move ahead with the resolution of intent. The city council voted unanimously to approve the resolution. Now, that document says that lodging businesses that will pay more than 50% of the assessment proposed have signed and submitted petitions in support of the formation of the Bishop Tourism Improvement District. The boundaries of the district are the same as the city of Bishop. Now, the resolution says that the annual assessment is 2% of gross on short-term stays of less than 31 days. The assessment will not apply to government employees staying on government business. The document says the plan for the assessments is to provide direct benefits by increasing room night stays through sales and marketing programs. Now, the meeting to hear testimony on this plan, according to the resolution, is set for October 27th, 7 p.m. at the Bishop City Council chambers. The public hearing to establish the BTID and the levy of assessments is set for November 10th, 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as may be heard in the City Council chambers. If there are written protests by the owners of the lodging businesses that would pay more than 50% of the estimated total of assessment of the entire Bishop Tourism Improvement District, there would be no more proceedings for 1 year. Now, a nearby neighbor, the town of Mammoth Lakes, they established a tourism business improvement district last year. There was some controversy over this move, which includes assessments of 1% of gross on lodging, 1.5% on restaurant and retail, and 2% on lift tickets and ski school sales. There were initial objections to assessing restaurant and retail stores. Enough support was finally garnered to move ahead. Again, the Bishop Tourism Improvement District would assess lodging only. Well, 2 Eastern Sierra residents were sentenced in federal court last Thursday. Gene Wayne Harris, age 42, resident of Mammoth Lakes, was sentenced by U.S. District Judge Morrison C. England Jr. to 15 years, 8 months in prison, to be followed by a lifetime period of supervised release for attempted enticement of a minor. And this is what United States Attorney Benjamin B. Wagner announced. Now, according to the plea agreement on March 1st, 2013, an 18-year-old girl from Mammoth Lakes received an unsolicited Facebook friend request from Harris. Before accepting the request, the girl looked up Harris and learned that he was a registered sex offender, having previously been convicted in Inyo County of sexual battery. At law enforcement's direction, the girl responded to Harris through Facebook and an internet-based text messaging service and told him that she was only 14 years old. Harris acknowledged that the girl was 14, even commenting that her Facebook post says she is older. Harris also made comments during his initial online chats with the girl that he could get in trouble if anyone found out they were talking. The press release continues that law enforcement assumed control of the 18-year-old's account, and during this time, Harris's communications with the girl turned sexual, including requests by Harris for her to take sexually explicit pictures of herself. Plans were made for Harris and the girl to meet in Mammoth or Bridgeport, and the girl asked Harris to bring along alcohol and condoms. On March 8, 2013, the press release states that Harris checked into a Mammoth motel and waited for the 14-year-old girl to arrive. While waiting, Harris communicated through text with law enforcement, posing as the girl, texting at one point that he could, quote, get in trouble for what I'm about to do, but it is worth it, end quote. Now, law enforcement sent Harris a text while he was at the motel asking him to get something to drink in a candy bar. Harris was arrested while walking back to the motel from a convenience store with the drink and candy bar. Located in the motel room were condoms and alcohol. At sentencing, Judge England stated that the defendant's criminal history involving allegations of the sexual exploitation of at least 3 other minors, quote, showed a pattern of criminal behavior that has continued unabated for over 12 years, end quote. Judge England went on to say that his sentence would, quote, serve to protect the public from future conduct by the defendant and be a deterrent for others who engage in this type of conduct. Also, Roxana Foley, age 53 of Bridgeport, was sentenced last week by United States District Judge Kimberly J. Mueller to 30 months in prison for embezzlement by a bank employee and ordered to pay $315,000 in restitution. Again, U.S. Attorney Wagner announced this last week. Foley worked at Eastern Sierra Community Bank in Bridgeport, and according to the plea agreement starting in November 2011, bank officials noticed discrepancies with the Bridgeport branch. On March 19, 2012, managers from the bank made an unannounced visit to Foley's branch to investigate a suspicious $90,000 transaction. After review of the local bank's records, officials identified $90,000 in misplaced funds, as well as $6,000 missing from Foley's teller drawer. Now, the press release states that during the surprise inspection, Foley admitted to taking over $300,000 from the bank. Later review of the bank's accounts uncovered $322,000 in missing funds, as well as multiple electronic transactions moving money between accounts made by Foley. Officials also learned that Foley had been circumventing normal banking procedures at Eastern Sierra Community Bank, including single-handedly taking over all counting and auditing of bank accounts when dual accounting procedures were required. At sentencing, Judge Mueller found that the loss in this case was significant and that Foley, quote, succumbed to the temptation, end quote, of having access to such funds. In sentencing Foley, Judge Mueller sought to punish Foley for her conduct and stated that a period of time in a federal facility will serve as a deterrent to Foley and others. We'll be back with more news.